Amie Belzer-Tennant here, the genealogy reporter.
And I'm Brenda Hudson from Voiced Life.
We are excited to have you with us again. Today, we are thinking about Mother's Day coming up, and we're excited to share some ideas for writing and remembering the mothers in your family tree. So, Brenda, hello, how are you?
I'm very well today. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. We had some storms today, but I actually can see the sun poking out. So that makes me...
Springtime is here.
Yes, springtime at last. So Brenda, we've got Mother's Day coming up. What are your plans for the weekend? Do you guys do anything special for Mother's Day?
Well, I'm hoping someone in my family is going to plan a fabulous Mother's Day celebration for me, but I don't know. We'll see. What about you?
Has it happened in the past?
Yes, we've had picnics in the past, which is
okay. Then you've got, it's probably going to happen. Well, because Mother's Day is always celebrated on a Sunday, obviously we'll be going to church, and there's usually a lot talk about moms at church. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get a little gift like a flower corsage or something. And then we have our family always has family dinner on Sunday evenings. So it just so happens that I am second Sunday preparer of the meal. And wouldn't you know, that falls on Mother's Day.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair. So my husband will probably take care of the dinner preparations. And I'm guessing that at least my two older kids will come visit me sometime that day. And I might get a card or two, but usually it's mostly about celebrating the grandmas, actually, because we.
Oh yes,
my mom is around, and so she becomes the matriarch of the Mother's Day.
I love that, celebrating moms across generations. That's important.
It is, and it's so neat. We have a lady in our community that is a third great grandmother.
Wow.
Can you believe that? And she's still living. She's almost 100 years old. And she's got great, I think she's got great grandchildren, and there might be a great one. It was amazing. It's like 5 generations in that family.
Wow. Some good stories there, I bet.
Oh yeah, for sure. And speaking of the stories, I wanted to talk to you specifically about some ideas that you might have about recording stories and history of our mothers. So what can you share with us?
Yeah, I have a couple of ideas. So you could use these ideas that I'm going to talk about if you want to create a little Mother's Day gift for a mom in your life, or just as a way of starting to record your family stories, your family history that can be included within your family tree. So the first idea I have is just a little captured moment of a mom in your life, maybe your mom. So by a captured moment, you can imagine just getting in writing a little memory that you have. And sometimes those memories, you can use a photograph as a launching off point for that. So you're just telling the story of what's going on in the photograph, or it can be a memory that hasn't been captured, only in your mind, but that works too. So the way I like to suggest approaching a captured moment is giving yourself maybe just 10 minutes. You're going to write for 10 minutes. And you're going to follow your train of thought. You're just going to write down that moment as you recall it. And sometimes it's fun to just start with a little bit of a prompt, just enough to get going. So depending on what the captured moment is, you could just start simply like, I remember, and then go ahead and write down. And I always suggest too, especially at the beginning of, writing your family stories, just to kind of get you in practice of it. Try not to edit yourself or overthink it too much as you're writing. And I often tell my students, just keep writing, don't stop for those 10 minutes.
That's me. That's
me. It really...
I edit as I write instead of writing for the idea of flow. I think that's what happens, right? You lose your flow or your train of thought when you're too worried about editing. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, exactly. You're searching for the exact right word, and it just interrupts things. So I always say that at least when you're gathering your first draft, just keep going, and you can always come back and finesse it later. So 10 minutes, a captured moment, something about a mom or your mom. And then another idea I have is just a little family saying, like, does the mom that you're writing about, does she typically say something? And then what's the story behind that?
That is my favorite. You have told me that little prompt.
Yeah.
And we actually did that at a family dinner for our dad. We went around
Did.
because he's known for his sayings. And it was so fun. That is so fun. That's one of my favorite prompts that you had. So,
Oh, good. And if you're doing it with your family, like, it's fun for asking others in your family what sayings comes to mind out of the mom's mouth. So, and then you have just a list of different things that paint a nice picture too.
that is so neat. I was going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just remembered something. A friend of mine, they made a list of 10 favorite sayings it was just for their friend, and they had a t-shirt made.
Oh, how fun.
Wouldn't that be adorable for Mother's Day?
That would be awesome. You better get on it right away.
Yeah.
The last idea I just want to share today is writing down the things that your mother has taught you, or that you learned. So that could just be a list of things, or you could take one special thing that you learned from your mom, and again, write for 10 minutes and just see what comes up. So those are some ideas for capturing mom stories. I hope they're helpful.
I love it. I love it. Now I'm thinking, you got my mind rolling now.
Oh, good.
That we could do for family dinner this Sunday. That would be so fun. I have to do it. Well, too, you and I have both talked about where this type of writing can be very, I guess you'd say, therapeutic to one's own personal soul, healing and so forth. Remembering our loved ones is always a real touching experience for us, but also being able to then pass that information down, to share it with others. And we were talking earlier about some ideas for once you've finished this writing, what do you do with it? How do you share it? Do you want to share some of your favorite ways of sharing? And then I'll talk a little bit about what I was saying earlier.
Sure. Well, I'll share some old school ways, and I think you're probably have some really great, maybe social media ideas, but I love handwriting. When I see handwriting from my mom, it just brings back so many memories. And so I'll suggest that you write down, especially like your smaller memories, your smaller snippets. And if you're writing, for instance, what you learned from your mom, if you focus on one thing, I'm sure we've all learned many, many things.
Many things, yes.
But that doesn't have to be a long piece of writing. So I love sharing it with a tangible card with something written inside is really sweet. And then other ways is, recording your voice and sharing that.
Yes.
So those are two ideas that I have. I would love to hear yours too.
Well, Brenda, first I have to say, when you said recording the voice, because I am the designated family historian, of our lines, I went back and I found so many videos of us as little kids and whatnot. And two had our grandmothers in them. And they literally said no more than 2 words. And it broke my heart because one of my grandmas in particular, who I referred to as Big Grandma, she had a very Southern accent that was different. And I think that the kids I would love for them to hear her voice, to hear how, and her cadence was different and how she spoke. So we immediately, I told my sisters, I said, we've got to get mom and dad on an audio where they are talking lengthy periods of time. And by that, I mean 3 or 4 minutes at least.
Sure.
So hear the rhythm and their voice and the way they say things and sentence structure, because you can learn so much about a person through audio. So I just had to say that because I think you're right. Okay. So the ways I really enjoy sharing, you're right. I'm a social media person. And I was thinking how cool it would be if you had a family Facebook page where you put up the initial story of mom, a little snippet there, and your siblings and her grandchildren and so forth could add to that by commenting on the topic or adding to it. And then a lot of people don't know that you can print your Facebook page. And so your pictures, your comments, other people's comments can all be what they call slurped into a book form. And you could do it in a digital form to where it could be shared. And then, so I thought that would be really neat to do, a collaborative effort. And then also Family Search, Family Tree has a section called Memories, and you can upload audio and pictures to there. They do not have an option for video at this time. It would be way humongous, to have that.
Sure.
But audio and pictures. And when you save things to Family Search, Family Tree, when it's saved to a living individual, that's not shareable. But what it does is it archives it in a place where you always know where it is. And then once the person has been deceased for about a year, that opens up and then becomes accessible to anybody who wants to hear it. So, if grandma died, 5 years ago and you had this audio there, by now it would be open. And the kids, think of the kids, the grandkids and the great grandchildren getting to hear her voice, and it's accessible for free anywhere, anytime. So
it's not lost. It's somewhere where others can find it.
Yeah.
And I love the idea too of having comments. So you have the initial memory and others in the family can share or can add to it, or maybe even rebut.
Exactly. Well, and
it's like having a conversation, right?
Right. And you know how it is, the perspective's different. Wait a minute, it didn't happen that way. It happened this way. And yes, it might sound a little argumentative, but in my family, that's the fun.
Well, and it may lead to other insights too. Yeah, I love that idea. Those are great.
Right. Well, I think these have been some great ideas for everyone to consider doing for good old mom and for your future generations. So we'll leave it with that, and hopefully we'll have our viewers and listeners join us next time for our discussion. Thanks a lot, Brenda. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Good luck with recording your dad and mom. I'll be reminding you of that.
Thank you. I'll need it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.